Good morning, everyone. This is State Climatologist Gary McManus with your Mesonet weather report. Well, it has started raining again. We're very thankful for that change in the weather pattern. I thought it would be useful to go back and take a look at our rainfall statistics for the fall thus far, see where we're at before the changeover, and maybe why we got into this horrible drought situation. And also, let's take a look at that new drought monitor map. Well, the new drought monitor map looks worse than last week, shockingly enough. We did increase some of that D3 extreme drought across the state. Not a very big portion of the state, but if you look at those red colors, that's where we saw those start to get a little bit bigger, spread a little bit. Also that brown color, the D2 severe drought also increased. And also the moderate drought increased. And then we also spread that abnormally dry conditions, the yellow color, up farther into north central Oklahoma. So by just the count of the drought monitor, the drought did increase over the week, but really we're just playing catch up over the last several weeks as this flash drought has started to impact the previous drought condition. Speaking of flash drought, take a look at the consecutive days with less than 1/10 of an inch of rainfall map from the Oklahoma Mesonet. You can see we're now up to basically 3 weeks without significant rainfall across the state of Oklahoma. And remember, during that time, it was also very warm, with several days with unusually warm temperatures, record temperatures, in fact. So, you know, the hot weather and the lack of precipitation did accelerate that drought to more of a flash drought situation over the last month or so. Okay, rainfall since the start of climatological fall, and that's September 1st through November 17th, this Tuesday before the rains. And you can see those areas of the greens and the light greens, the yellows. Those are areas that simply have not gotten enough rainfall over that 78-day period through much of the fall thus far. So some of those areas, you know, less than 1.5 inches of rainfall. So a very tough go across the southwestern quarter of the state, extending over into south central and southeastern Oklahoma and other smaller areas across the state. Shows up quite well on the departure from normal rainfall map for that same time frame. You can see areas in the darker red, 6 to 7 to even as much as 8 inches below normal in those areas. The oranges, more like 4 to 6 inches below normal. And then the other deficits across the state. Very few areas have surpluses over that time frame, just a small area in northwestern Oklahoma and out across the western Oklahoma panhandle. Another view of that deficit situation, this is the percent of normal rainfall map for that same time frame, and you can see a large area of the state, basically around 25% of normal, those red areas, even a little bit lower in some cases. In the orange, less than 50% of normal on average. Again, very few places had above normal conditions over that time frame. So we're dealing with two types of drought situations here. The longer term drought that started really back in the early to mid fall, and then also the flash drought which started in the last few weeks. Statistics for the autumn thus far ranked over the last 105 years across the state of Oklahoma. We can see the statewide average about 4 inches below normal, the 14th driest such period on record. But you can also see other parts of the state, like south central Oklahoma, had their 8th driest at more than 6 inches below normal. Same thing for southeastern Oklahoma, west central Oklahoma, 15th driest on record. Central Oklahoma, about 5 inches below normal with their 11th driest. September 1st to November 17th on record. So again, just a very dry fall for Oklahoma that accelerated this drought. A pattern change is exactly what we needed. Get out of this drought situation that's been intensifying and spreading, get into more of a rainy pattern, maybe even some wintry weather as we go forward. But again, it's very much welcome. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.